Hello and welcome to the Warp Shelf. I'm Frank Duran.
I'm Deshaun Vasquez.
And welcome to our first ever remote episode. If you haven't been catching on, we're in video now. If you could go to our YouTube, it's YouTube/Yupfrank, and it's also got all the episodes of the Warp Shelf on it. But you can go to our YouTube and actually see our faces if you're into that. If you're not, just stick to the audio.
If you're into that.
Yeah, if you're into that,
I don't know
thing,
why you'd be into that, but
I don't know why you'd be into that, but you can absolutely still listen to us audio only on everywhere you already listened to us. But we thought we would, if we're gonna go remote, we might as well try to do an actual video episode. So please welcome us to the YouTubes with our faces and get ready for another filthy casual episode because we dig them. We dig them.
yeah, they're fun. And this will definitely be the last one for a little while because it's going to be full on spoops as we get into October.
If you didn't know, Halloween is my favorite holiday. I'm pretty sure it's your favorite holiday too,
Oh, yeah.
right? Oh yeah. Like we go hard and we're going to go hard on the podcast. If you didn't know, we're going to do at least 4 episodes that are strictly horror based, or Halloween based. Like absolutely 4 full episodes because I think there's 5 weeks in October, so it's
Yeah.
like,
At least with the way our episodes tend to line up, we try to release episodes on Thursday. I looked this up like ahead of time, maybe like a couple months ahead of time. I told you, like, Frank, there's 5 Thursdays in October.
And we're going to bring it for you guys. Don't worry, we got a lot of exciting content, and a few of them, at least one of them, will be remote like this. So to start it off, Deshaun, what have you been playing, bro? What have you been up to?
Well, I got my copy, Tony Hawk. My copy had gotten to me about a week late, which is annoying.
Immediately transport you back to
Oh yeah,
to being a child. Like,
I mean, the opening, as soon as you start, when you get to the main menu of just like press start, or in the PS4's case, options, it is already playing Goldfinger.
oh man,
Like it's already
awesome.
playing Superman. It's like, oh yeah, they know what
They know.
everyone's favorite song is. So that was like right off the bat.
I
Jumping into
love
Pro
Tony
Skater
Hawk.
1, going back to the warehouse, I'm like, oh god. It's like it never left. Oh my god, I haven't played this since like Pro Skater 4 came out. I am really bad. I really need to get the practice in, and boy have I.
Yeah, how many hours you got in there now?
I'm not sure because it doesn't really count it like it would for other games.
Oh, okay.
I wish every game had that, where like whenever you go to save, it just gives you the runtime of the playtime of how much time you put into it.
Right. I don't know why, but that's important. And for some reason, a lot of games are like, you don't want to know. And you're like,
Yeah,
like,
I'm actually that guy who, like, if a game does that, I have a login on howlongtobeat.com, and I like submitting my own score so that I like adding to the average.
Exactly.
I did it for all the Metroid games.
If you didn't know, that's one of my favorite websites. Howlongtobeatit.com is the best. If you're like, I don't know if I have enough time to play this game, look it up on howlongtobeatit.com. See how long until it's
Yeah, it's
over.
all an average based on like user submissions, and the great thing is it splits it up into 3 ways. It's just playing the story, or whatever the equivalent to a campaign is, on its own without any extras. Then there's main plus extra, so that's more like, I did the story, but I did a couple side quests here and there. And then there's like full completionist.
Yeah, which is always like almost double the time for a lot of the games.
Yeah.
I feel like it's.
So
just
I'm
like,
not sure how many hours I put into it, but I have beaten Pro Skater 1, 2. I've gotten both secret characters. I wish there were more.
That's crazy. Wait, there's only 2 secret characters and
just
games?
2. Yeah, there was like I think 3 in the original game.
Huh.
Spider-Man was in the original Pro Skater 2.
Right. I remember that.
And I knew we weren't going to get Spider-Man again.
Yeah,
but I feel like because it's Activision, they could have made up with it. Like put Crash or Spyro in it. I mean, hell, Spyro already skates in his own 3rd game, so that's an easy in.
Yeah, it's over. It's already done.
I just remembered how ridiculous those guest characters were over the course of the series. Because like the 2nd game had Spider-Man. That made sense. Neversoft made the 2 PS1 Spider-Man games.
Yeah, those are great games. I love those games.
I totally forgot that Darth Maul was in Pro Skater 3.
No way.
Yeah, he was as a secret character in Wolverine.
Yeah, that's a little bit off the rails right then and there.
And
You're
the
just
fact that they
like,
have their own unique like techniques and stuff like that. Like I watched because I think I was watching like a retrospective of like the games up until this point and like
yeah.
where the series kind of fell off, and they were showing footage from Pro Skater 3 and showing off like Darth Maul and Wolverine as characters. Darth Maul's like twirling his double-bladed lightsaber while he's skating. Wolverine has this move where he ollies off a ramp, he stabs his claws into his own board. It's
That's
ridiculous.
ridiculous. And I mean, you kind of want that if you want the remasters. So it's kind of funny that they didn't add more. Do you
Yeah,
think
all they have is
do you think it's DLC? Maybe they'll add more
maybe
skaters
they
or
have the Roswell. I know there was like one secret character that was like a pre-order bonus. It was like the Skeleton Man.
yeah.
So I didn't get him because you had to pre-order it digitally specifically.
Yeah.
But the two other characters are Officer
And
Dick, who's been a secret character since the first game.
yeah.
But this time, instead of just being like a generic cop, he's played by Jack Black in this.
That's awesome. That's
So
great.
he looks like Jack Black. He's voiced by Jack Black, and he was clearly motion captured by Jack Black. So
Oh,
I'm
that's
like,
awesome.
okay, I get to play as Jack Black. That's fun. And then there's Roswell Alien.
Oh, I love Roswell Alien. That I remember playing as all the time. I remember playing as the alien. I love Tony Hawk. I mean, everyone knows I don't have PlayStation, but it's definitely it's on my eyes as I eye the PS5.
Yeah, we'll be talking about the showcase for the PS5
Yes.
because I do really want to talk about that.
Yes, that is absolutely true. We will be talking about it, and it'll be a
But
good time.
aside from that, game wise, I got Metroid Prime 2. I just haven't started it yet.
Oh, wow. The train has slowed down slightly, people. Just checking in. Deshaun has slowed down to MBTA status on this. On your
Nothing's
Metroid train.
MBTA slow. I mean, there are degrees of slow. Like there's like
That's
green
true.
line at the bottom, and then you go up from there.
That's true. And then you got the blue line, which is brand new, and it finally moves, and you're like, thank Christ.
Yeah.
But I've been, I've been playing my Idle Champions. I passed like 1,300 hours in that game. I'm just leaving it running at night now. I'm just like, hey, go. And but I have been playing, of course, Overwatch. I've been playing a lot of Overwatch, but I brought up last Filthy Casual Spellbreak, which is actually starting to shape itself together. I think my main critique last time was that it's young and still has young problems of like weird crashes, a story that wasn't fully fleshed out, and lots of other things that weren't fully fleshed out yet. But they're starting to, and they actually introduced a roadmap to the future, which was very exciting and showed off all the new features that are going to be coming soon. And it gets me really excited for the game. I really enjoy it. It's cool to have a battle royale that isn't just like land, sniped, you're dead. All right, moving on. Like
Yeah.
it is a fight. You get into long fights. I put my first solo win I put it up on my Twitter, Yupfrank on Twitter if you check me out. I put of my one solo win I've had so far. But I did win last night with my brother. I played a duo match with him, and we literally haven't played in a week, and we crushed on duos and absolutely won because you got a little bit of communication and you just destroy everybody else. You're like, hell yeah. But I have purchased a couple games and dived into something that we'll get into. But I did purchase Hades this morning because I saw so many good reviews for it. I know nothing about this game other than it's Super Giant Games. I know you love Transistor and what's the other one? Bastion. That you love those
I
two
love
games. So this is a hack and slash by the same company. So I'm down for it. I'm gonna check it out. I downloaded it this
It's
morning.
been pretty well advertised so far.
Yeah, and a lot of the scores were nines. I'm not advertising it myself because I haven't touched it yet, but I saw a lot of nines, and I know our boys at Anti Fanboy were playing it, so I decided to plop down the money for it too. But what I've been playing the most, which me and you can actually talk about, is we bought the Super Mario 3D All Stars collection. What a mouthful.
Yeah.
I appreciate the title. I do appreciate that they call it All Stars, like to make reference to the last time they collected a bunch of games together and just called it All Stars on Super
Yeah,
Nintendo. Like I
it's
dig
simple. It's
that.
just 3D All Stars, and that's definitely the equivalent.
Yeah.
Um,
So what do you?
and we
What?
both got physical copies, right?
Yes, I got a physical copy. I didn't get any stickers. Did you get stickers? I didn't get any stickers for my
No,
pre-order.
I didn't have. I had to get it. I got mine from Best Buy,
Yeah, I got mine from Best
and I
Buy.
didn't pre-order it right when it came out. I kind of got onto it because it was the only place left that still had physical copies. Because when it was announced and when it was released for the pre-orders, I didn't have the cash for it at the time. So I was only able to pre-order it maybe like 3 or 4 days before it was due.
Yeah.
But thankfully I was able to go, but I couldn't even like have it delivered. I had to go and pick it up.
Yeah, I had to go pick it up too. I totally did the same thing where I was like, oh right, that comes out tomorrow. Who's got physical copies? And Best Buy was like, yup.
But no stickers.
So I mean, you know me. I'm not a big Mario fan. So this was kind of a hard buy for me, other than I have never played all the way through Mario Sunshine, and I actually really enjoy Mario Sunshine, and I've never played Super Mario Galaxy. So
Galaxy's
for
so good.
me, those two make this purchase worth it. My problem with this whole collection, which I don't know if you'll feel the same, is Mario 64. I played a bunch of Mario 64, and I know on N64 the controls are clunky, but it even feels clunkier here.
It's just a dated game. I've said this for years that Super Mario 64 doesn't hold up as well as people think it does.
No, it's not
And
really a
it's
my
and
my
it
go ahead. Go ahead.
and
Sorry.
its contemporaries, even at the on the same system, like Banjo-Kazooie, control
Yeah.
better than it does.
Yeah, absolutely. I think my wife said it best while watching me play it. She said this Super Mario Sunshine is an actually modern game. You know, like because that's really the difference. Is I think that Super Mario 64 was them trying to translate a Mario game to 3D, and you can
Mhm.
still like feel those 2D elements. You know, like still feel that like the
That's
very
sort of like
rigid, like you
that
have to
like
land.
trepidation.
Yes, yes, yes. I think that's the right wording for it. But then the minute you go to Sunshine, which is what I did, I'm gonna have to post a clip later. I stopped playing Super Mario 64 because I was on the ice level with the fucking penguins, and I got a one up, and it popped out, and I chased after it, and then it ran away from me, and I keep chasing it, and literally did 3 circles before it just like fell off the side, and I was like, I'm fucking done with this game. I literally just was like, nope, nope, nope. I'm not dealing with clunky controls where I can't even pick up the one up that I earned. You know, like I'm just like, nope.
Yeah, it's a little jank. I'll tell you what drives me crazy is I get it, like 3D was such like a new thing at the time and we hadn't really quite figured out camera controls at the time.
Yes.
But
Oh my god,
oh
the
my god, does
camera.
it drive me crazy that I have to hear the camera every time I move it with the lock key to
Woo,
like here,
woo,
here, here.
woo, woo. Oh my god. And that's the thing. Is like I had this game. I had this port already. I had this port on 3DS. I know they discontinued 3DS this week, but I still have my 3DS,
Yeah, the
and
DS remake of it.
and I which like it looks very similar. To be fair,
I mean, the models are actually better on the DS version.
yeah, and
They
there's
look more
also
like what the Mario characters' modern models look like
yes,
GameCube on. And even if someone wants to argue for the sake of like, oh, but of the time or nostalgia and stuff like that, all you have to do is show them how ugly Bowser is in the
yeah,
original N64 game versus how he looks on the DS remake. And you're just like, you're not going to tell me that that N64 model
that's
is better.
yeah, absolutely. And I also ran into some issues with the N64 one. I really do think it's an emulator. It's not actually like a port of N64. I think the
Oh
other
yeah,
ones are
they've
ports,
it's
but
already
this
been
one's an
confirmed that
emulator.
like all three games are like performed via emulation on it,
Yeah,
which doesn't surprise me. That's how we do most collections.
yeah. It doesn't make me angry. I'm not like, wow, it's an emulator. I could have just downloaded this on my computer. It's like, no, I want to play this on my fucking Switch. I don't want to play this anywhere else. I can play it on my computer. That's butts. I want to play on an actual Nintendo controller.
So I
Sorry.
can I can do it because I play a lot of retro games anyway,
Yeah.
and I can always sort of like, it's not really a learning curve so much of like an unlearning curve where you take you like unlearn what you have learned
Eh,
to be
I
able to
am a
like play
basic
older
human
games.
now.
I'm used to doing that,
Yeah,
but
you're absolutely a
but
Castlevania
even as
head
a but
more
even
than
as a
me.
kid, Super Mario 64 was never my favorite. Like I preferred the 2D games up until that point. As a kid growing up, I preferred a lot of Sunshine, even if Sunshine has its own problems. But like
I
Galaxy and Odyssey specifically are like up there for me.
so that was the thing is I jump right into Sunshine and not only does everything jump in quality, there's voice acting, the animation is fantastic. It's a lot of years. It's almost 10 years between the two games, which is a long time. And what's great is that it is such a huge jump to Sunshine. It feels like a modern game. It moves like a modern game. But that's why playing Sunshine makes me appreciate Odyssey almost more, where we were talking about Tony Hawk, and the way Tony Hawk controls everything in your environment is yours. You can step on it, you can move around it, you can grind on it, you everything you can touch, move, and go around.
Mhm.
And that's what Odyssey captures. That like everything around you is yours to touch and move and jump and like you are the master of the terrain. And that's the thing that Sunshine doesn't have yet, and they definitely developed later. Is like they give you that slightly with the hydro nozzle, and you could be like, "Here I go, here I come." But like still there's like a lot that goes into getting around in that. And
Yeah.
once they but I feel like they nail it with Galaxy with Odyssey, and I'm excited to try Galaxy
Well,
because
that's part of the
obviously like you
reason
said.
like Odyssey like achieves what 64 really tried to set out to do way
Yeah,
back when. Because your mileage will vary on Sunshine, really based on how much you like Flood as a gimmick.
it's cool, I
If
dig
you're
it.
not into the gimmick, then it kind of falls apart for you. In the same way that like you don't like Twilight Princess, and most of that is centered on you hate
I
playing as
knew you were gonna
Wolfwing.
say that. I like knew you were gonna say that when talking about Sunshine. It's so funny because we immediately do that because they're GameCube games, correct? Isn't Twilight Princess
Yeah,
GameCube?
Twilight Princess was GameCube and Wii,
Yeah, so you
like
have to
simultaneously.
compare. You know, like you have to be like, this was an era of trying a different gimmick on our heroes here.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
if you're
like
not into it, then you're probably not going to have the incentive to like really enjoy the rest of it. So if you hate Flood from the start and just don't like
yeah,
what it changes to the formula, then you're probably not going to be into it. But I mean, or you could get petty and be like, I hate Sunshine because it doesn't have the long jump. But the
yeah,
point is, Odyssey is a lot more like 64 than either Sunshine or Galaxy were,
yeah.
but in a way where it could be a modern take and it's a lot more fluid and
I
open.
I think that's because it's the way they handle you going into the worlds. Sunshine changes it up. You have episodes when you go into the worlds instead of just you go in and it's all yours on 64 and Odyssey. Like you go into the worlds and then everything around you can go to and play on and
Mhm.
gather from. But what the in Sunshine, it's very much just like, oh, you did this episode, okay, we'll boot you back out, we'll boot you back in. You know, like which
Yeah,
I is super weird.
it's annoying, especially if you want to go completionist on it and try to
Yeah.
get like all the shine sprites, have being booted out every single time as opposed to just being able to go in, get what you need, and then leave and move on.
Yeah. And the number one thing for me, and I know you'll say I'm a big baby for this, but 64 is punishing, bro. Like punishing. If you fall off the side of the map, they're like, you get the
You're
fuck
out.
out of
Get
our
out.
thing. And
Get out. Get
the
good.
third time I fell off the snow map, I was just like, frick. I was just like, no, no, this is not why I bought this game.
Yeah,
Is to sit
I'm
here and
I'm
lose.
very wary about any like narrow walkways above a gap in 64. Not only because they boot you out if you do manage to fall, but the game is so clunky and the camera's so annoying that I'm always gauging my field of view. Like, okay, I don't even try to like run across anymore.
You're like, oh no, oh shit, oh no. I feel you. I do enjoy the game. I'm just, it's not the one I'm going to complete first. It's just not. I thought it was so clunky, and I don't think it's this port. I don't think it's the Switch. I think this is
That's
a
just I
dated game, and I
Super
think
Mario
people have a
64.
I think a lot of people have nostalgia for this, and they're just going to, of course, be mad at me for talking shit about this game. But I'm not really talking shit. This is a good game. It pushes the boundaries of what a game could be. I really
Yeah, but
appreciate
games
Super Mario
age.
64, but it ages.
Yeah.
And the number one thing I get out of this collection, because it's cool. It's cool that you get 3 games in one, and they're full, and you get the soundtracks. It's definitely, I don't know if it's worth $60,
It's
but
not. It's
it's not
totally
worth.
not.
Yeah, it's worth.
I was
Like,
arguing this, I'm pretty sure on the last Filthy Casuals episode when it was like announced, because we had talked about just the announcement in general.
yeah,
It's not, especially after playing like Tony Hawk, which is a
yeah.
full from the ground up remake with brand new content outside of just doing the first 2 games. And it's only $40.
Right? You're like, this game should have been $40. I'm not saying that you will get $60 of enjoyment out of this. You may. You will, like, I'm pretty sure you will get uh, tons of enjoyment out of these 3 collections. That is not what I'm shitting on. What I'm
But
shitting on is that you're right. Tony Hawk and other remakes are coming out at $40 when this is an emulator and it's coming out at 60.
even collections, they just shouldn't be this expensive. And Nintendo always does this when it comes to like their ports or any type of collection, is that they're always overpriced. Like every single Wii U game transferring over to the Switch really should have been $40 to $50 instead of a full 60 again. But as I make the joke all the time, you got to pay that Switch tax.
You got to pay that Switch tax.
Even it shouldn't be anything above 40. You're still just like, yeah, but 60.
Yeah, but 60. And then we're all lining up. Everybody I know bought this in physical. Like, that's the crazy part.
Yeah.
Is that this is
the real suckers here.
That's the real thing, is that this is the biggest game since Animal Crossing for these guys, and all it is sending out 3 games they already made, you know? Like,
Yeah.
that shows how good Nintendo's doing right now.
It being limited is also a big part of it, though.
Say again?
It being limited is also a big part of that, though.
Yes, I think that literally got everybody out there on the first day. I really do. I think that Nintendo played us like usual and said it was limited, and then everyone went out and bought this. Even if it wasn't special or actually that limited, we still went out there and got that. Because,
I mean, it was still pretty bad. I couldn't get a physical copy anywhere except Best Buy. Like, Amazon was sold out.
Yeah,
other places
Amazon didn't have it.
GameStop was sold out. Best Buy was my only option, and I had to pick it up. I couldn't even have it sent to me.
Yeah, same here.
And then once
it was nice to walk around a Best Buy, though. I don't know about your Best Buy, but I was actually able to go into it, and I haven't been in a Best Buy in literal months. And I like, you know how stupid it is to feel so good to be in a Best Buy? Like, that sounds so stupid, but it was so nice to walk around and be like, look, a game. Look,
no, I get it. I tell you what I've been missing is like bookstores.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I've been missing.
It's the browsing. I think it really is. The browsing that you can't do anymore, and that's like half of what I do.
But even then, like, this is still limited just because once this physical copy is gone, even the digital version of it will be gone in March.
Yeah, which is crazy. I don't. That obviously sets a weird precedent, and I don't like that. That them being like, we can put out a digital game and then take it away, and you'll never be able to buy it again.
And I brought this up like multiple times. Game preservation is such like a poor thing with this art form that it really bothers me. Because if you look at any other medium, if you want to watch a movie, for the most part, you can pretty much get it anywhere. Just like, oh, I had it on DVD, you can get it on Blu-ray, you can get it on any amount of streaming service, you can rent it digitally. You have access to that movie. When it comes to video games, which is just as valid as an art form or a form of entertainment, there's always some like hoop you have to jump through. It's never as readily available.
It's because it has to go through a company, you know? Like, that's the difference here, is that in the film industry, you have at Giants, you have your Disney, you know, like you had your Fox, but you have your big giants, but not everything you consume has to be through them. But that's the problem with gaming, is that you have literally like companies you can count on one hand, and they control the entire flow to the art form, you know? Like, that's the problem here, is that...
Yeah, and this isn't even like an argument of like exclusives or anything like that. But it's just a matter of availability even on that specific platform. And Nintendo is really good at like dragging their feet. it could have been so easy to just pull another virtual console and just make most of these games available digitally like they have in the past. But
Yeah.
for some reason, they want to play hard to get, even with the older stuff like the NES and the SNES, like games added for Switch Online, taking forever to like update every time, even for stuff that wouldn't really have that much red tape.
Yeah, so the weird so yeah, like Earthbound, like immediately you're like, so why is Earthbound constantly pushed to the side? Like if we already
Yeah,
own everything, it's like one
the
of those.
fact that like Mother 3
Yeah,
has never been localized to this day. That game came out on Game Boy Advance. There's
exactly.
still never been an official English release of that.
But mate, last thing I gotta say while playing this collection is that I got this overwhelming feeling as a person who's not a big Mario fan that I need a Master's Quest collection for Switch. Like, give me every fucking Zelda you could possibly give me in a collection. I need it. I need it. I need it. Like when I played the 64 Mario 64, I was just playing it and I was like, I'd rather be playing Ocarina of Time on my Switch right now, Like, I know I'm sounding like a Zelda fanboy, but I'm like,
This isn't about Zelda, Frank.
I know
I'm
it's
trying to
not.
make it about Zelda.
I know, but at the same time, I'm like, this is nice because it's 35 years of Mario, but also give me a Master's Quest where I
My,
can play every Zelda I can
my only
possibly
thing is,
play.
if it's going to be the original versions, like it was for this, where it was the N64 version of Mario 64 instead of the DS remake,
Yeah,
man, the 3DS remakes of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask are so
are
good
better, are
and
better.
got me so spoiled that I don't want to go back.
Yeah, I don't want. That's the thing is, I don't want a Mario 60. Like as much as this Mario 64 is fine that it comes out, it's the way it is. I would much rather that 3DS version of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask because why go back?
It
Like
just seems
why?
such an easy thing. I still have a working 3DS and I still play it as I like slowly go through the Professor Layton games, mostly for that. And when I played Samus Returns, I
I'm
can
gonna.
still play the 3DS remakes of Ocarina and Majora's Mask. But you would think it'd be such an easy thing, even if it was just those two, to be like, here's the Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask 3D remakes, like double pack on Switch. Here you go.
And it's
They would
I'm
still
gonna
probably charge $60 for it.
right they would. But I'm gonna sound like an asshole if they can freaking put out Pokemon Sword and Shield while reusing 3DS assets. They can fucking put the 3DS Ocarina Time and Majora's Mask on Switch. Like if you're already porting basically a 3DS game onto the Switch, give me the rest of them. Like,
Sword and Shield, not so much, but that's like another example of an overpriced game in their library is the Let's Go game, so it should have been 40.
oh yeah, the Let's Go games, yeah. Even now, I tell people like if it because there's certain people who are like I've never played a Pokemon game before. I'm like Let's Go is a great way to get into the thing. Do not pay full price for that game. Like to find any.
I'm glad you
used
finally
copy.
come around because you were pretty defensive about that when I told you that it wasn't worth $60.
I mean, I had a good time with it. I definitely put $60 worth of entertainment into Let's Go. I played a lot of it. I caught some of my first shinies I've like ever caught, on that game, like definitely I got my worth out of it. But then the minute like the problem with Let's Go as a person who plays competitive online Pokemon, Let's Go is not your venue to do that. And then
Neither is Sword
comes
and
out.
Shield, to be honest.
Well, Sword and Shield does some good things. I mean, thank God this season they like banned.
This is coming from
the
someone
starters.
who's like playing it before this generation.
Yeah.
For like a couple generations on Sword and Shield. The reason I'm not like interested in playing Pokemon competitively like that compared to past generations is because I don't have the tools I would like. It's certainly easier to grind just because you have like all the EXP candies and stuff like that to like get rid of that, so you don't have to worry about like grinding being an issue.
Yeah.
But as far as like competitive Pokemon, I'm just like, I ain't got my team.
I mean, yeah, I feel that. But I feel like that's what you have to kind of do, like it's kind of like how you put out a new set in Magic the Gathering or in Pokemon the trading card game, if we're gonna be serious.
Gen 5 had done something similar, but the difference was like for Pokemon Black and White, there was only Gen 5 exclusive Pokemon in there until you beat the game.
Yeah.
Then you got the national dex, and then you could get anything else you
Anything.
wanted from that point forward.
No, the national dex is a sore topic, like because it's just like, of course you want a change up in the meta online, like so you want the dex not to be as big because you want the change in the game to not, not to be the same teams constantly forever and ever, and you have to like ban certain ones to make it happen. It's like, at least with this, it like has a set that you have to use, but obviously we realized that you had to start banning ones. They started banning the starters, like being like, no, you can't use Ilaplume, like get that the fuck out, like it's just like, I enjoy the idea of not having to ban people to make it happen, so that way you have full access to whatever the game is giving you. But then again, you should get the national dex. This is a Switch port of a game, of a Pokemon. This should have every fucking Pokemon in it. This is the most powerful
at the end of the
Nintendo
day, like
system.
for a first installment of the main series that was on console specifically, like it wasn't really what people wanted.
Yeah.
It was clear that development started for the 3DS and then moved on to Switch.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm excited for Pokemon Snap, because it seems like
Pokemon New Snap is like the only thing Pokemon related I'm excited for.
But I mean, new models. Like, we're talking about 3DS models being transported over. At least in Pokemon Snap, everything's new. Like everything's flashy.
Yeah, and we've been long overdue to get a Snap sequel anyway.
Oh my God, have we been long overdue? So let's go on into, now that we're done talking about Mario and we've kind of digressed.
What have you been watching? We've been on games for a bit. What have you been watching or reading or whatever?
So I was reading The Button, like you told me to. I finished off The Button, and I'm gonna move on to Doomsday Clock, and I really enjoyed The Button. Even though there was it's a crossover event, so you get 4 different artists and 4 different writers, and you're like, that's effective. That's not so.
Yeah, on Batman's side, it was much better just because the artist was Jason Fabok, and I'd forgotten how good Fabok's art is.
Fabok, oh my God, he's so good. Him and George Jimenez have been my like favorites lately. I'm just like, ooh, you guys are good. You guys are damn good. But I definitely really enjoyed that, and it's got me into wanting to read more comics, so I've been buying some stuff. I went to my local comic book store, Comic Book Palace. I moved down to Haverhill, if that wasn't apparent. I know you probably haven't seen my set before, people, but this is new. We are new places. We are in Haverhill now. That's why we're doing a remote episode, because I didn't want to drive this weekend. But we will not be doing that always. Do not worry. We will have episodes in person together. But I thought this would be fun to do a little video one. But basically, I went and picked up some new comics, and hopefully I'll be reading some of them soon. But I'm not really gonna start throwing them out, because I've already sort of recommended Hades already without playing it. So I'm not gonna start recommending more shit.
Did you see what Comixology did?
No. What did it do?
In like tribute for like Chadwick Boseman passing away, they put up 200. They made 200 issues of Black Panther free.
That's nice.
I grabbed it. Yeah, I grabbed all of it.
Well,
there's a lot there.
We'll be reading some Black Panther later.
Because Black Panther, like having his own solo title, is kind of few and far between. Although now, after like how big the movie was, he'll now be like a major character that won't like get rid of a solo title. You pretty much have like a good chunk. You have like what you could call the definitive Black Panther stuff, even the stuff that I grew up reading.
That's awesome. I mean,
it also has like some of the more recent runs on it, so you're like, oh shit.
Ooh, that's
so nice. There's a lot.
That's nice. I'm trying to think of what I've been watching. I haven't been able to watch much. I get home and I'm just I've been doing a lot of virtual work, literally doing this for people online. But then I've actually had in-studio shoots that have lasted all day. So I've been coming home and not actually able to watch much, because I get home and I'm so just like, let me die. It's going to help me die. But we watched some horror movie the other day that was no good. There was another Hulu one that was just fucking terrible.
Every time you bring up watching something on Hulu, it just continues to remind me like why I don't have Hulu. Like you both have never been able to like successfully pitch Hulu as a platform to me. Anything I see Hulu, even when I've been over and I'm like by myself and I just browse for stuff to watch, I'm like, Hulu ain't shit.
Well, so Hulu, and I mean, yeah, Hulu. So if you're not into reality TV,
Which
it's not really your thing. I mean, they have doubled their efforts in anime. They have tried to grab as much anime as they possibly can because they know that's what people want. So I've watched a lot of Yu Yu Hakusho on there also. Just when I don't want to open Funimation for some reason, just because both apps suck. Funimation and Hulu just suck as apps. Like
yeah.
if I had to do an official review of both of them, I would say they both suck. Because if I wanted to completely lose my spot in a video, I wouldn't be watching it Funimation. Like why I would just own it. You know,
That's how I'm watching. The only thing I'm watching on Funimation, which is why I bugged you for like the login again, was I'm watching Decadence. I watched the first episode of that.
Oh, nice.
And I'm
That's
watching.
good.
Yeah, and I'm watching The Vision of Escaflowne.
Oh, I've not heard that.
That's sort of like a classic among the anime community. It's an old one. I think it's from like the 80s. It's like a high fantasy slash like shoujo romance slash psychological stuff. It's a lot of things.
All right.
But I'm enjoying it. I'm like halfway through it now. That's pretty good. I'm watching like Rent a Girlfriend anime wise, but that's on Crunchyroll, so I don't have to like pull my hair out. It's weird. Crunchyroll started off as a piracy site, and then they went legit. And they have like the best player around because they were kind of first to the game. But Funimation has all the big properties, but their app is garbage.
I like if Funimation you're listening, your app is garbage. Like please fix it. I love your shit. I love your franchises. Please, dear God, fix the goddamn app. And Hulu's they updated recently too. Like Hulu tried to update their app, but now I can't find shit of what I was watching now. It just like recommends random shit. My wife is constantly putting on, speaking of Hulu, 90 Day Fiance. I don't know if you've seen this show. I know we don't talk reality TV here, but it's what I watch when I don't get to pick something. So we watch 90 Day Fiance. What a train wreck of a fucking show. I don't know if you've ever seen this show, but they basically, it's the K-1 visa process. They come over, they have 90 days to get married, or they have to go back to their own country, and then they can't apply for a green card. So it's like one of those things where these people are coming together that have never really been together before, and it's just a train wreck. And it's just constantly just like miscommunication because they don't speak each other's languages / don't understand each other's culture. It's nuts. It's just you just sit there being like, okay,
yeah, I don't have the fortitude to endure reality TV like that. That's such like an archetypal wife thing though.
yeah.
I love that. The amount of times even comedians joke about it all the time where they're just like, when you want to watch TV, but all your wife wants to watch is fucking reality shows. It's so funny.
It's funny, but it's true, and I don't mind most of them. Like if I don't like it, I say something. Like if I can't stand it.
The only thing I can tolerate is something where a craft is involved. Like if you want to watch like Hell's Kitchen and stuff like that, yeah, fine. It has all the trappings of like reality TV, like contrived drama, but at least cooking is involved, so I can appreciate the craft.
Yeah, I understand. We watch. My wife watches a lot of British Baking Show. What's that one with Amy Poehler and Ron Swanson? Not Ron Swanson. You know what I mean? Nick Offerman. They have a crafting show. I think it's called Craft This or something like that. That one's pretty good. But again, it's just like somebody making something and you're like, oh, that's nice. Like.
Speaking of craft, here's an interesting one because I tried this a couple weeks ago. I've seen a couple episodes. Have you watched any of the Midnight Gospel?
No. I heard good things though.
It's an interesting one.
Oh, no, Midnight Gospel, the animated show on Netflix.
Yeah, on Netflix.
Yes. I remember talking about it on an episode because I watched the first episode and it was just wild.
It's an animated podcast.
It's an animated podcast.
And it's so weird.
So
I've
weird.
watched like 4 episodes of it, and it's like it's very much like I'm sleepy, but not sleepy enough to go to sleep, but not awake enough to do anything productive. Eh?
And Midnight Castle. Yeah,
Or
that's it.
also like not quite awake enough to like take something in that's like overly dramatic or impactful. So it's just like, okay, and I don't like reality TV, so my other thing is like podcasts or cooking shows, or in this case, I'm like, okay, like I had told you, I went through like comedians in cars
Yeah,
getting coffee. Once that was done, I watched a little bit of the Midnight Gospel, and it's an interesting thing
it
because it
really
really is
is.
just a podcast discussion animated into its own context with like little jokes in between.
It's so weird. I really don't. It's so hard to like put on who would enjoy this. If you like podcasts, you will probably like Midnight Gospel. It is so
Yeah, or
strange.
if you're a fan of Duncan Trussell.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're a big like Adventure Time fan, this is that you're gonna like this. This is really interesting and weird, and very 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 strange. Speaking of podcasts, I did start listening to podcasts because I have like a 40-minute drive to work now, living in Haverhill. So I started listening to Team Deacon's podcast, which is Roger Deacon's podcast. If you're a film guy, totally worth it. Really cool show because it's just Roger Deakins and his wife just being like, do you remember when we started out, like, or do you remember when we did this, like, and it's just, if you think Roger Deakins is a genius, which you should, because he's a fucking genius, you will love this podcast.
You should listen to the Director's Cut.
The director's cut, what's
It's
that?
the official podcast of the Directors Guild.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And they have it's usually like topical, like it involves like a sit down and a discussion with the director of something like big and new. And thankfully, even though it's the Directors Guild, they don't get like snobby about it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, if it's the director of a big blockbuster, we'll interview him. If it's something a little more avant-garde, we'll do that. And they have really good discussions. There was there was one with like Edgar Wright when Baby Driver was coming out, and Christopher Nolan was the interviewer for it. So I'm like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, that's wild. That's crazy. I would love that. All right, I'll check it out. I got time. I've been trying to kill the time with podcasts, but then sometimes in the morning
Audiobooks, dude.
Sometimes in the morning I can't take words into my head. Like, it's so early in the morning. I'm like, stop assaulting me with your words. So I have to listen to music. So I've been trying to do albums, and I've just been going through a bunch of my favorite albums, and that really helps pass the time. But
Yeah. I have this weird like thing with music where in the same way that audiobooks are or podcasts are, where it has to be sort of a passive thing while I'm doing something else. I'll listen to music while I'm cleaning or while I'm cooking, but it's gotten to the point where I would rather just listen to something narrative at this point. Like I'm about 70% through Steelheart, which is a Brandon Sanderson book.
oh
And that's
yes.
pretty good. It's like
He's changing time, right? That's what Brian Sanderson does. He always is like, but what if the Nazis won? Like,
no,
oh,
not
what?
necessarily. But he is like sort of like the biggest name in fantasy right now.
Yeah,
Like
seriously.
right up there with like George R. R. Martin if he ever decided to finish his
It's
series.
it's kind of wild. Netflix hasn't jumped on one of his films, like one of
He
his
is
books.
the closest thing is the fact that like Amazon is doing the Wheel of Time only because he wrote the last couple of Wheel of
Yeah,
Time books after Robert Jordan died.
yeah. Sad.
And
R.I.P.
but that's about it. He's tried for years to get like a Mistborn movie off the ground or this off the ground and that off the ground. And he said, oh, they've been options, but you know how this business goes.
Yeah,
So
seriously.
it's a
And
will they or won't they. He got so frustrated to the point where he actually just started writing a Mistborn screenplay himself. He was
oh,
just like, fine, I'll do it.
fine. I'll do it myself.
But
With
yeah,
hookers
Steelheart's an
and
interesting
blackjack.
one. A buddy of mine described it as like a YA version of The Boys, and it's kind of that. It kind of is
Wait,
that.
what book is this? Which book is
Steelheart.
Steelheart's just what?
Just because in the sense where it's about superheroes or like superhuman beings who became corrupt and now they pretty much run the government and it's about of like a group of normal human beings trying to bring them down,
Oh, nice.
like
Okay.
espionage.
I thought you were saying Lost Boys, and I
No,
was
the
like,
boys.
I immediately was like, what? Like, I was like, how is it like the Lost Boys? Like, I need to get into the boys. Speaking of the boys, I would love to do that. I found I
Yeah,
had the
everyone said
first
great things
two.
about it.
I had the first two on trade paperback I found the other day, and I still haven't read them, so I'll have to get to that and actually finish reading them. But let's move on to what the big news of the week: the PS5 showcase, baby. So right off the bat, the important news. It is going to be and correct me if I'm wrong, $4.99 for the disc drive version and $3.99 for the non-disc drive version of the
Correct,
PS5.
which is exactly what I thought it was going to be. I
Yeah,
had
to
been
me
saying
that's
it.
fine.
I had been saying it for probably a couple years now that like when we inevitably get a PS5, I don't expect it's like 400 to 500 is the range. If it's anything less than that, I'm going to be very surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem with this whole event is obviously this was a rush pre-order process. I think
Mhm.
that this event, they did a good job of showing off the PS5, but my problem with this whole event is that they gave no time to the realtors for pre-orders, and I know nobody who actually got in a PS5 pre-order. Like I know a ton of people who tried to get a PS5 pre-order, and I know tons of people who failed. Like they just kind of screwed this up. I think they panicked because Xbox came out and they were like $300 for our shitty version of our Xbox, and then PS5 was like, "Fuck, like we got to do something,"
Yeah,
like
it doesn't like I get why people are frustrated, but we've been through similar things like this in the past and no one ever learns.
no, they
It's always
never
the
learn.
thing, like they always underestimate how much people will want it, and then the retailers get screwed over, and then people get impatient, even though they know, even if they did get to pre-order one, they're gonna get it, have like one game to play, and then let it sit there for a couple of months while they wait for the next thing to come out.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, I love my Switch, but what did you have at the beginning? You had Breath of the Wild and Disgaea 5, which I love Disgaea 5. I put 75
Yeah,
hours into that bad baby, and I'm excited for Disgaea 6 that came out last week with the Monster Hunter. Oh, we didn't even talk about the direct. Real quick. Monster Hunter has 2 games coming out, and you also got what was the game I was literally just saying? Oh my god, I just blanked.
this guy.
Yeah, you get all that. That's coming to Switch next year. Monster Hunter Rises looks dope, and it's also a big fuck you to all the Monster Hunter World fans. It's all just like, yeah, you thought we couldn't put Monster Hunter World on a fucking Switch. We did it, bitch. We did it. And I'm pretty excited about that. But but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about PS5. We're talking about PS5. So
But yeah, so with that sort of logic, I never buy consoles at launch because it's
no,
always the same cycle and no one ever seems to learn from
no.
it. At least with the Switch, I got my Switch, like I finally pulled the trigger on it once at least Odyssey was about to come out.
Mm,
Because I knew Breath of the Wild's gonna take me a while. By the time I'm done with that, I have Odyssey. And plus with like the promises of everything now, I feel like now is the time where I have at least a couple things that'll keep me going for a while because Breath of the
yeah.
Wild was so big, and I knew I was going to go like full completionist on that. And same thing with Odyssey, where I'm like, well, I guess I'm getting all the moons,
I'm getting
every
all the
one of the
moons.
moons, so it kept me occupied for a bit. But the difference with me is the Switch is not my primary console. I also have a PS4,
Yeah.
so I'm not just completely sitting there just like I have nothing to play.
Please give me games. Please, I would like game. But I mean, that's gonna be the problem with everybody gonna have to like get their PS5, and I'm pretty sure everyone's gonna sell their PS4. If we're
I mean,
having a
not
backwards
even
compatible, like
yeah.
people are gonna sell.
I mean, not even just that, but whenever a console comes out and launch, they're always working out the kinks with that first shipment. You always hear the horror stories.
Oh yeah,
It's like,
like
oh, I got the
like
day one PS3 and it broke. I got the day one PS4 and it works, but it has like this weird thing. You even talk about like how
oh
you
the Xbox 360, all the day one's ringing of deaths.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
like that's it. You just shouldn't get the first shipment of a Switch. I mean, of any system. I got the first shipment of the Switch. I think I got it 2 months after it launched, but still like the first shipment. And I've had to send in my Joy-Cons because they drifted. Both sets I had to send in. My Switch doesn't fit in the dock like it should, and it has problems where if you don't plug in the dock and then the HDMI, it will not show it on a TV because obviously you can't put in video signal before power. As a guy who works in video, you're like, are you fucking kidding me, Nintendo? Let me just plug in anything I want. Like why has it got to be in order? Like what the hell? But whatever. It doesn't matter because that's not a problem for any of you normal
it really
Switch
does.
players.
Like this is part of like the argument when it comes to like first generation or first shipments of consoles. So with the PS5, you would even put in Discord that was just like, oh, anyone like getting it? And I'm like, no, at least not yet.
No. Yeah, if you want, guys, remember, go join our Discord. A little plug for our Discord. It's actually kind of fun. We got a lot of talking going on over there.
Yeah,
we got,
and we're tiny.
Yeah, we're tiny. We got a lot of talking.
Like intimate and friendly. Before like you get like because you go into like some Discords and there's like hundreds of people in there. You're just like, I'm just a drop in the bucket at this point. I'm just here for the announcements.
But please join our one because if you want to like personally talk to us, not through a platform like Twitter or Facebook, join Discord with us. We'll put it in the description to join the Discord or whatever. And we'll definitely, if you want it, go to our Facebook. But
right. Let's talk about the games they actually showcased.
So, but were you impressed by the PS5? Like, are you gonna go get this thing? I know you're PS4.
Get it. I'm just not getting it immediately.
Okay, because I know I'm such a Switch fanboy, but after this presentation, I might have to go get this PS5.
There's a section here specifically because I have like a list here of like what was announced. There's a section in particular that we're definitely gonna have to talk about in regards of you like on the fence as to whether or not you'll get it. We'll get to it.
Okay, we'll get to it. All right, go ahead. What's going on?
The first thing I like listed most of like the notable ones, including one that only I care about. The first big one was like Final Fantasy 16.
Yes.
Which, fine. Here's the thing. I'm very apathetic.
Isn't that also coming to Switch though? They like announced that's like it's all platforms or something.
No, I think that one's actually. I think that one was announced specifically to be PS5 exclusive.
Oh, okay, cool.
That
I just want to make sure.
Come on PC as well. A small little sidebar. I hate it when people argue like semantics and pedantics when it's just like, well, it's not really exclusive if it's also on PCs. Like PC is sort of in its own corner.
It does whatever it fucking wants.
It does whatever it wants because PC is not a platform specifically catered to gaming. It's a platform that does a lot of things.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, yeah, it's a console exclusive to PS5 and it'll also be on PC. It's still an exclusive thing. Stop being pedantic.
Yeah. Yep. I'm
but
with you on that.
16, fine. I'm unfortunately kind of apathetic towards the franchise. I haven't liked the main series Final Fantasy.
I thought you liked 15 though. I thought you enjoyed most of 15.
I liked a lot of 15.
Yes.
I liked a lot of things 15 tried to accomplish. But despite that game being in development for like 12 years, a damn thing came out and it was still incomplete.
Oh man. Yeah.
So it was definitely a step in the right direction, but it just like soured and like frustrated me. There hasn't been a mainstream Final Fantasy game that I've really, really, really liked since 10, and 10 came out 19 years ago.
Do you mean 10 or 10-2? Do you like 10 or 10-2?
I don't like 10. I like 10-2's gameplay. I just hate its story.
Yeah, I love making fun of that because that's the most ridiculous title ever. Final Fantasy 10.
Well, that's
what
happens when you have an anthology series. When you actually want to do a direct sequel to something, you can't just call it 14.
You can't.
Or
Yeah,
you
but
can't
you
call
can't
it 11 because 11 already exists.
My argument is that they just should have called it Final Fantasy 10 and then something else. Final
With
Fantasy 2. Yeah, like putting the 2 in there makes you be like, so. What number is it? Is it 15?
Final Fantasy 10 and a half.
Is this 11? Like, what number is this? Please
Final
just
Fantasy,
give it
10.5. Final Fantasy 10 and a half.
To Final Fantasy 365 memories.
Oh my god. 305 60 days over to chapter prologue 2.5.
Yep. All right. And what's next on the thing? Because
Well, I
obviously
still
Final Fantasy.
sort of want to stay on 16 for a bit. The or just one like little note about it. I like aesthetically that it's going back to more like traditional medieval style
Yeah. Yeah.
because I've gotten kind of sick of like the cyberpunk style aesthetic that we've had since 7.
Yeah. They were like, that was successful. Let's keep doing that
Yeah,
forever.
so I'm glad that it's sort of being back to basics. The combat looks pretty cool. It's apparently got like the combat director from Devil May Cry on it, and it kind of shows
Ooh.
because some of like the one-on-one combat looks really cool, but I'm not
Really
sure
like
how
boom,
they're
boom,
going
boom.
to implement a party system, if at all, in something like that.
Yeah.
But that's about all.
All right. Sounds good to me. I mean, I'm down. I'll wait for the reviews on that one. Like I do with every Final Fantasy.
The next one was Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Okay, so this is first off, I, I'm that I mean, this is great. This is good. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Like if you needed a game to show off the PS5, Miles is definitely it. They were just like, this looks good, but what if we added a snow effect constantly? And you're just like,
Yeah,
okay.
that showcase they did for the gameplay looked fantastic. I already loved like the Insomniac Spider-Man game already, and I know this isn't really like the true sequel to it. Like this is more like it probably started off as an expansion, but then became big enough to become its own standalone game, and it
Yeah,
is supposed to
you
bridge the gap between it and the true sequel.
Yeah, and it definitely feels that way with the you have to buy it. You can get a legendary collection that on the PS5 that comes with the original Spider-Man game and then Miles on top of it. So it's
Yeah,
like you can get the normal one, which is I think 50 gigs, and then you get both of them, and it's like 115 gigs or
it
something
makes
like
sense that
that.
it's sort of like an in between game because the first Insomniac Spider-Man game left plot threads that was clear that we would have to continue with Peter, as opposed to putting Miles in there would feel kind of weird. But they
Yeah.
did set up and plant the seeds for Miles to become Spider-Man. So it's just one of those things where, like, I guess when we get to the true sequel, maybe you'll switch back and forth between the two.
Did you see the awesome in they have this one shot in the Miles gameplay where he shoots between two falling parts of a building and saves somebody, and it's the exact same shot from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Like that the Chris Pine Spider-Man saves Miles before he's even Spider-Man,
Mhm.
like it's like the same exact shot. Like they did it on Reddit where they had the play right in a row and it's the exact same shot. And I kind of love that attention to detail in this type of thing. And it kind of like acknowledges, like that the other arts.
I'm excited for it. I know the developers because I'm sure everyone was bugging them. We're just like, is there going to be an Into the Spider-Verse costume? And they're just like, yes, there's going to be an Into the
Yes.
Spider-Verse costume. The first
Of
game had so many
course.
costumes that I'd be shocked if they didn't. And it had an Into the Spider-Verse costume for Peter, so why not?
Yeah, why not? I definitely. I mean, I'm excited for Into the Spider Verse 2. Whenever that keeps getting pushed back, but I'm excited for it. Give me more Miles all the time. That's basically how I feel about this game. Is give me more Miles now. Sounds great. You're gonna give me a whole game about Miles? Sounds good. Like, like, I have no problems with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving on, the next one was Resident Evil 8 or Village.
Yeah, I mean, this is a spooky looking game.
I'm happy that Resident Evil is experimenting in a way that I enjoy. The fact that they seem
What
to
are
be.
you saying? That they've been experimenting and completely fucking up for maybe 6 or 7 entries?
I've been saying that. I'm saying that Resident Evil 4 was a good game, and then they learned
I
all
bought that this morning, by the way. It was on sale for 25% off, and I was like,
good.
bye. I was like, I've never played you, so bye.
My thing is like, yeah, 4 was a good game, but then they learned all the wrong lessons from it, and we got 5
Yeah.
and 6 because of that. And no,
5 and 6, and then you get 0 because of it, and then you also get
zero was a different thing that came out around the same time as the remake of the first game.
That's true. That's true. The Revelation games I feel are
Yeah,
very,
a bunch of
very much those. I like the Revelation games. Don't get me wrong, but they are very much 4. Like they're very much like, hey, let's try to do Resident Evil 4 again with the combat, right? And you're like,
yeah.
eh.
And then 7 was like a good shot in the arm that the franchise needed.
Yep.
it was cool that it tried to go for like a different aspect of horror. It still had like obligatory sci-fi serum that turns everyone into monsters. So like you had that sort of in the background. But the fact that it was like this dirty, grimy, you're in like this farm in Louisiana and it's like this Texas Chainsaw Massacre type thing.
Yeah,
Was
that's
really
what
cool.
got me was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes, where you're like,
Yeah, exactly. So the fact that 8 is going for like now we're doing some witchy shit. It's gonna be all like
yes,
cult stuff, and you're like, sure, fine.
sure, give it to me. I mean, I love Robert Eggers. Go watch The Witch. If you want some spooks, that's always a good one. And I felt like they're driving from Robert Eggers here. You know, like they're very much like, we saw The Witch. Let's do sort of like that for Resident Evil. And you're like, sweet. Like,
I'm all for it. I just hope they don't spread themselves too thin because doing like the remake of 2 and the remake of 3 and 8, just like back to back to back, I'm just like, I don't know, because 3 already felt rushed.
yeah,
Disappointing.
I heard.
Out because like 3 was always my favorite growing up. So the fact that like now you have like the main series one that's not a remake coming, I'm just like, you guys spreading yourself thin is what killed you last time.
Yeah, but it's a big company. I mean, you can't fault that. Capcom's a big boy now. You can't. It's not just like spreading themselves too thin. They just throw money at shit. So
Oh, I can criticize Capcom all day.
yeah, I mean,
Remember
yes.
when you met me, I like refused to play Capcom games at that point.
And I will always say Monster Hunter for life.
I effectively boycotted anything Capcom after pretty much because I hated the state of Resident Evil at that point, and I got sick of like their fighting game practices. They were one of the first big companies to start doing like really shady shit as far as like DLC practices are concerned, where they made the game, it's complete, but it's not really DLC so much as you're paying to unlock it that's already installed on the disc. And now everyone does it, which is what I told everyone was going to happen like back in 2010.
If we could have changed this podcast, it would have been Deshaun Told You So. That's what we could have changed this name of this podcast to, because Deshaun's
listen to me.
Deshaun's been making predictions from way back, and he's always pretty much right.
So and then 7 got me back, and even then I was wary of 7. I had to play the demo to be like, shit, this is really good. Okay, I'm gonna get it.
Yeah, it's spooky in VR. I played it VR recently, and I was like, whoa. I was like, get that the fuck away from me. Especially that scene where the wife runs at you right at the beginning, and you're just unloading a clip into her. It's frightening when you're playing on a system, and then you're playing in VR, and you're like, stay the fuck back.
As someone who loves the horror genre, but is completely desensitized to like horror movies, like I don't get scared by anything anymore.
Nope.
Like horror games scare me in a way that movies really wish they did.
It's so true. Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, nothing scares Deshaun in movies anymore. Not a thing. Yeah. So what else is on this this PS5 showcase?
Hogwarts Legacy. This is going to be a hot button one.
Yeah. I literally was discussing this last night with a group of friends. It's just one of those things that, like, as Harry Potter fans, everyone's kind of wrestling with at the moment, you know, like, because of course everyone's always wanted a big open world RPG Harry Potter.
And to be honest, like that trailer was pretty dope.
It's pretty dope. And then you also have the problem of J.K. Rowling not shutting her goddamn mouth. Like, just stop talking. Like, just take yourself off Twitter. Just save all your money. You could make so much money if you just shut your goddamn mouth, JK.
It comes down to that age-old argument of like, if you buy it, then you're supporting her and her actions and the things she says. It's like, yeah, but sometimes there are also a good selection of people who just don't know about that. They just know J.K. Rowling is the author of Harry Potter and they want a Harry Potter game and don't care.
And that's what I'm realizing is a lot of people haven't actually gone on to Twitter and read what she's been posting or saying.
Yeah.
Or even...
I think the lesson of this is that Twitter ruins everything.
I mean, I think it's mostly because Twitter can let you say what you actually think without as much repercussions as Facebook does. And people come off saying things that they probably shouldn't be saying. Yeah.
Here's a pro tip.
Here's a pro tip. Deshaun's pro tips.
Pro tip. For everyone who's just like, I really want this game, but I refuse to support J.K. Rowling. If you buy it pre-owned, No money goes to the developer. The money only just goes to the retailer. They just wait till a pre-owned.
That's a damn good point. That's a damn good point. Thank you, Deshaun. That should be the new motto for this whole game. Be like, don't buy it until it's used. Like,
Yeah. If you buy it, no money goes back to the developer. They already got that money when it was bought as a new game. The only one who makes money on a used copy is the actual retailer you got it from. So if you want that game but don't want to directly like put your money into J.K. Rowling's pocket, because it will end up in her pocket eventually, even though she's not involved with the game in any capacity, it's still going to end up in her pocket because she owns the franchise.
And that's really the problem here, is that I see a lot of people in game development being like, look, as much as JK is a piece of shit, there's like hundreds and hundreds of people working to make this game
that's the other thing.
You know, like to working their ass off to make a great Harry Potter game. And like, you want to support them, but you know ultimately that the money will go to her. And, you know, like, and I'm not saying that she can't, like, there's a lot to discuss here, and we will not be talking about that shit on our podcast. But basically, I think we go with what Deshaun says. If you get a used copy of this game,
there is an in.
There is an in. It's not exactly what you would think is good, but at least it doesn't go straight to her. So, I mean, but it's hard because as a Harry Potter fan, I will always say, just watch the Lindsay Elias Death of an Author video. She sums it up perfectly in that, like, what happens when an author just keeps talking about their works after the work is completed. Do you just take the work as completed, as done, separately from the artist, or do you treat it as a living document that can always be changed / altered by the artist?
And there really is no one answer for it.
No, I don't think there is, because like I mean, there's tons of problems like this. I don't think J.K. Rowling's not the only one. I think there's Orson Scott Card, who's obviously is troublesome, and you can't support that stuff without
Lovecraft.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's H.P. Lovecraft's got a fucking show going on right now, but they're kind of addressing that in Lovecraft Country, which I know you've been watching.
That's the interesting thing about it. And even then, that show has like conversations about like whether or not to like punish an artist for the art or not.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's hard because you want the art to stop when it's done being made, but is that possible / right?
Yeah, and it's not even always about whether or not the author like has a platform or has certain ideals or like views that you agree or disagree with, but it's also sometimes separating the art from the artists when they've been gone for like decades.
Yeah,
because it's one of those things where like someone's upbringing is always going to inform their work, but do we talk about that? It's in the same way that like, say like Tolkien.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, you can enjoy Lord of the Rings just on its own in a bubble, be it the books or the movies, or you can talk about how like there's no way Lord of the Rings is what it is without Tolkien being a World War I veteran.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, that's the thing, is that the art is obviously from the artist, you know, like it's informed by what they do and say. And that's all. That's all I'm gonna say about this, is that you just need to be aware. When you're taking in your art, just be aware of what you are taking in. Because you shouldn't just take in any art at all. You should try to be informed and know what you're taking in. And I'm not saying I'm gonna stop loving Harry Potter. And I'm not saying I'm not gonna buy this game, but I definitely find problem with what's going on.
Yeah.
So it's troublesome.
Not to sidebar into further controversy, but I had forgotten to bring this up when we were in the like what we were watching, what we're watching side of the discussion. I'm assuming you know about like the controversy surrounding cuties.
Yes. Yeah.
Here's an interesting thing.
That's a troublesome.
Here's the thing.
Because that's hard to talk about.
Here's the thing. I've seen Cuties. I saw it before it hit Netflix. Yeah. Oh, wow. I saw it before it hit Netflix.
Where did you see it?
Back when it was. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Don't talk about it.
Back when it didn't even have the title Cuties, it just had like the French title of like Mignons.
Yes.
Good movie. The problem is Netflix got it, and they advertised it as if it was played straight.
Yeah,
When it's like, no, this movie is actually like
a
purely
deconstruction.
satirical.
Yeah, it's a deconstruction of what's going on.
Yeah,
And that's
it's like shining a spotlight as to how like weird like coming it's like a weird coming of age story of like how weirdly sexualized like young girls are in culture, be it like dance culture or like how creepy beauty pageants are when you actually really think about it. Like
yeah.
it's directly addressing how weird this is from a point of like how does a girl grow up in the midst of all of this, and like, you know, especially when
Yeah.
cliques get their hands on it and you always have to go with like what's cool, what's uncool, etc. Like that's what the movie's about.
Yeah, I really do think that this was it's almost a Clockwork Orange situation where like obviously what they're doing is bad or controversial or satirical, like pushed to the nth degree to show off how bad it is, and but actually how normal it can become. That that's what this kind of is. It's like the same people that are complaining about cuties are the same people that watched Clockwork Orange and was like, "There's rape in there," and you're like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah." You're just like, "Yeah,
It's
that's what
really
they're
just a
trying
case
to draw the point to,"
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
really just a case of like Netflix not knowing how to market it. So it
Yeah.
makes it seem like it's played completely straight.
And Netflix isn't having a good week either. So they had the cuties thing, which is already a problem, and then they had the main star of the show Cheer, which is about cheerleading, get arrested for child pornography and soliciting minors. So it's one of those weeks where you're like, Netflix, this is bad, bro.
Yeah.
This is
I
bad.
just wanted to bring it up because it's unfortunate because even like certain celebrities have like spoken like
Yeah.
in its defense. Like I think Tessa Thompson like brought it up. Just like, no, I saw this movie when it was like in the festival circuit. Like it's a really good movie.
Yeah. I
But
think
people
it's
are like misreading the point because of the way it's marketed. And to be honest, Americans are super good at taking things at face value.
Yeah, and that's really my problem here is that this is different than the death of an artist thing because this is the art is trying to make a point, and then everyone's just like, the point? I don't see it. Where did it go? Did I miss it? Was there a
Yeah,
point here? Like they just fucking
there's
whoosh.
stuff like there's stuff in film school that you and I watch that's more like quote unquote triggering or more like visceral and
Yeah,
effective than anything Cuties has to show.
exactly. And it's one of those things where you have to, if you don't treat it as art and you just treat all your media as exploitation, then you won't understand what this is trying to get at.
Mhm.
I will not defend cuties because I've not seen it. So unlike you, I will not be like I won't give a definite opinion about it. But I do think that people should not judge a movie before they fucking see it. That's number one. That's number one in film school and everything that we do. If you haven't seen the movie, don't fucking talk about it like you've seen it. Like just don't. Like watch the thing. Like
Mhm.
that's my only argument to
Yeah, because
all of this.
the only thing people have to stand on is the way it was marketed and posting clips out of context.
Yeah, exactly. And you're just like, it's like if you were gonna put out what's that one, Falling Down? If you were just gonna like post clips from that, you would just be like, fuck. And so many other movies that are so just like trying to disturb you. And that's the point, that they're trying to like unsettle you. And that's
Mhm.
an important thing that art and movies can do is unsettle you into an
Yeah. The
action.
only reason I brought it up was because I like felt bad because I'm just like, guys, this is actually a good movie.
Yeah.
It's a good movie, just like overshadowed by bullshit. I'm like, oh well.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a tough time too because obviously everybody's just like, wow, pedophilia, you know, like it's just like everything. It's just like it's everywhere, and you're just like, wait, calm down, hold on, like they're just trying to make a
Like,
comment
it's
on
like this
that.
isn't the target. Like this is addressing what should be the target.
Yeah,
If you're mad at this, how about you actually take a look at like child beauty pageants that still go on?
ugh. And it's like and dance moms and things like shows
Yeah,
like
shit like
that, where you're like, isn't this weird? You know, like why do we have 10 seasons of that show and that's okay?
that. Mhm.
And then the minute Cuties comes out, which is obviously trying to make a point, they freak out about instead of Dance Moms or, you know, something like that. You know, like I don't
It's stupid.
It's
But
stupid.
back to the PlayStation stuff.
Yeah, back to PlayStation. Fuck it.
The next one, here's the one that like only I really care about was Oddworld Soulstorm. I love the Oddworld games.
I
Like
know
I've
you
loved them
do.
since back on the PS1. I like puzzle games,
Yeah.
especially ones that take a creative concept. Because you have like your Professor Layton's, which is really just like, here's a slew of literal different types of puzzles you can do. But then you have other more creative stuff like Portal or the Talos
Yeah.
Principle, where it's just like, here's a creative way of like solving puzzles based on the mechanics that we present.
Yeah.
And then stuff like Oddworld, where it's a puzzle platformer.
Yeah. I've always loved the advertising for Oddworld, so I'll take anything that has that like bright green liquidy advertising that they used to do,
Yeah.
where they would hold up the cans, and I always thought it was a real soda. As a kid, I was like, how do I get the Odyssey? So like, how do I get this shit? Like, because they always
Yeah,
used to like advertise it like a drink.
and there hasn't been a new Oddworld game since
There
maybe
was
like 2 generations ago with the PS2 and Xbox, because
yeah.
they had Munch's Odyssey and Stranger's Wrath, and that was years ago now.
And those are, I think, both on Switch. I think we got a lot of Oddworld games on Switch now.
Hope they port new and tasty to the consoles coming, because I know it was on PS3. It was like a ground up remake of the first game,
Oh, cool.
just to make it more accessible for people.
Yeah, yeah, and oh my God, dude, I know this is just bringing it further back, but I think you have to when we talk about the Mario collection, I think you have to immediately bring up the Spyro collection. I know we're talking. You just brought up the Munch's thing, and I immediately thought PS1. I think it's crazy that we had the Spyro collection on Switch, and it was $40. And it was 3 games.
And the Insane trilogy before that.
Yeah, exactly. This was one of those things that like there was an example for this already, but because it wasn't first party Nintendo, they didn't charge 60. And you're just like,
and those aren't ports; those are full on remakes.
Yeah, full on remakes. It's like if you somebody was putting screen grabs of each the Spyro games and the Nintendo Switch remake, and then all the Marios and the remakes, and it's just like it's so much nicer what they did to the Spyro games, and then they did to Mario, where they were just like, we did some things, and here you go,
Remake from the ground up, new aesthetic, new physics, new character models, brand new voice acting.
Yeah, it's like real money.
Still only $40, even when those came out for the other platforms before they hit Switch. At original retail price, they were only $40.
Yeah, exactly. And you're just like, guys. But okay, we're not going back to Mario. Moving on. What's next on the PS5?
So the next thing that they showed off, this was the thing, was the PlayStation Plus collection.
PlayStation Plus collection? So what's that? What's in there?
So it's we don't know if this is something that's going to be available right off the bat, like as soon as the PS5 launches, but it is a list of games that will be free so long as you have a PlayStation Plus subscription. And this list is super expansive to the point where it's just like, you might get a PS5 just for this, because this is a good way for you to catch up on the shit you missed this generation.
I mean, I got a backlog.
Here are the games listed.
All right, give it to me.
God of War.
Ooh.
So like the 4th one that came out.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Bloodborne.
Okay.
Monster Hunter World.
Okay.
Final Fantasy 15.
Get the fuck out of here.
Fallout 4. Mortal Kombat X. Uncharted 4. Ratchet and Clank. Days Gone. Until Dawn. Detroit Become Human. Battlefield 1. Infamous Second Son. Batman Arkham Knight. The Last Guardian. The Last of Us Remastered. Persona 5. And Resident Evil 7.
Persona's in there too for free?
Yeah.
How much is this Plus collection? Like, what is it?
It's not an additional price. It's there for PlayStation Plus members. It's the cost of your online subscription.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That's all I will say. And I will say now.
All of
now
these
I'm
will be
thinking
like up at once. It seems like they were pushing that. We're like, oh, all of these will just be in
kind
the
of like
ether.
the Xbox Game Pass. I think that this is their answer to the Game Pass, where it's like you can play all these old games wherever.
So when I saw this, I'm like, I'm gonna list this to Frank and see if this is any further incentive, because a big thing with you is that you missed out on so many games this generation.
I did, and that's what this sounds like. Is like I'll be able to have a PS5 and catch up. I mean, the Persona 5 right there makes me excited for it. And then all the other ones that just seem to speed up. That just
Because I mean, even if you didn't, especially for you who like only had a Switch this generation, even if you didn't buy a single game made specifically for PS5, like if you didn't get anything for it and
this
just had
would
the system
fill.
on loan, you'd have a huge list to work with to be like, okay, it's catch up time.
It's catch up day. I fuck, dude, I gotta get this. I mean, it sounds like they made the PS5 a better deal than PS4 ever was. Because the PS4, like at launch, also didn't have a ton of games. You know, like it had
Oh no,
some,
it
but
had like nothing. You had like Knack.
yeah, knack. And which knack is the best game of all time.
According to Donkey.
According to Donkey.
Shout out.
Shout out to Donkey. But I really like. I would love to actually get value out of the system right off the bat like that. I think that's what will make it worth it for me, because what my other plan was, instead of getting a PS5, was just to buy a really discounted PS4 when they come out, you know, like, and get that. But if I'm able to just play those for free for getting PlayStation Plus,
Yeah, and then
that's a
even without
deal.
that, the level of backwards compatibility.
Yeah. I mean, it's sounding better and better, you
That's
know,
pretty
like,
much why I'm getting. I have so much like physical PS4 games. That's why I'm getting the one with the disc drive.
yeah, and you know, I'm a physical media guy. I feel like it's fucked up just to buy the digital only PS5, because then you're stuck. You're stuck. You have to get digital. You know, like you can't do the hybrid thing. You can't be like, well, I don't want to put in a disc every time I play that game, so I'll just buy that digital, or oh, I'll buy a physical because you get cool things with it. It's like, you are fucked. You have to get digital.
Yeah, you
know,
guys.
like,
I mean, it was sort of like an inevitability. That's why it didn't like shake me when it was first
yeah,
announced. I figured we were going there anyway. But it's just one of those things you're like, yeah, you guys are gonna love, because there are some people who just love the convenience of like, I don't even
yeah,
have to go to a store. I
it's
pre-order
true.
a game digitally and it's downloads as soon as like midnight rolls
But
around.
what about the new Call of Duty? The new Call of Duty is something like 1,000 fucking gigs, dude.
Yeah,
It
and
doesn't even fit on the PS5. The PS5 has
memory
800 gigs.
memory was already a big issue with this gen. Like I have just a standard 500 gig PS4, and the amount of times I have to like delete applications to make room. Thankfully, it's simple
Yeah,
where you hit the options button, you delete the application, it doesn't get rid of your save file. That's in another place.
yeah.
But it's still one of those things
Like
where,
on
like,
Switch, where you're like,
yeah,
yeah, where
but
you
it's just one of those
archive
things,
it.
like the only time I tend to buy games digitally is if there's like a really good deal on the store. And even then, if it's something huge, then I'm like, oh fuck. Because I know
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to make room for it.
yeah, I totally understand. And that's sometimes, that's like sometimes my main argument to digital is sometimes you get like a game like Mortal Kombat, where you're just like, oh cool, I'll just get digital, and then it's like 50 fucking gigs on your Switch, and you're like, but I do
Yeah,
not
something
want
like
to only
anything
play
open world.
Xbox.
Like Red Dead Redemption 2 was already a huge game on disc. I couldn't imagine getting it digital only.
Yeah. Especially with online a slapped on top, you're just like,
Yeah,
okay.
and the thing is with something like that, I get to go through this with GTA all the time, is that because the online is constantly updated all along, it's just going to continue
To
eating
get
up that
bigger,
memory all the time. That's why
bigger,
GTA
bigger.
5, that and I still play it, never goes off of my PS4 because I know if it does, it's going to take me a while to get it back.
Well, is there anything else for the PS5?
The only thing was like a little shadow like tease at the next God of War, where all they did was like show the logo, they played the music, and they said Ragnarok is coming.
Ragnarok. Yep.
I am surprised that it's coming out that soon.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's very close for what it was, but you have to kind of have a God of War on each PlayStation. It's one of the flagships. You kind of have to have it. You know, like it it's gotta come. It's kind of like Pokemon, where it was just like, Let's Go was kind of a letdown, but you kind of had to have Pokemon on your Switch to sell more Switches. You know, like that's just it just makes sense, math. You know, like you want
Or
little
you could just
kids.
have some patience and deliver something bigger. You have
Nah.
to coincide with like the Switch just came out. Get something, get something in there, get something
Get
in there.
some.
And PlayStation understands that to a degree. Like I liked that The Last of Us 2 came out at like the tail end of the PS4's life cycle, because The Last of Us 1 came out at the end of the PS3's.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm not expecting another game until like 6 years from now when like the PS5 starts to get pushed out.
Oh man, yeah, I agree. I don't know. Are they gonna do a Last of Us 3? I mean, is that?
Given the way two ends, they could. They don't need to, but they could. But that's how I felt about the first game.
Eh. Um. Oh, I forgot to say what other game I had been trying to play, and I know you've probably seen this all over the place. Have you played Among Us yet?
Not yet.
They got it on your phone. I'm sure it's trying to load. It's not loading. But I'll put it down. Oh, there it is. Among Us. It's free on your phone. I think it's $5 on Steam. This is pretty fun. It's kind of like a board game in a little game, especially on your
It's seeing
phone.
like a bunch of memes for it, and some of my
Yeah,
other
and lots
friends
of
have it.
streamers do it. A lot of
What other platforms
streamers,
is it on? Because
everything except for Switch, of course. You're just like, great, fucking
yeah, that makes
awesome. But it was actually really fun to play in person. I know a lot of people are having fun with Steam because you could yell out, "Oh, he killed me! He killed me!" You know, like you could just be like, "Oh, that guy got me." But when you're playing in person, you can't talk to each other or it ruins the surprise. You can't be like, "Oh, I'm dead," you know, because obviously like one of the four people you're with was the one who fucking killed him. So you're just like you
yeah,
have to stay silent the whole time,
yeah.
and it actually
We
makes it really fun.
we kind of do something similar when me and my buddies like play Friday the 13th because we're in Discord while we're doing it. And what we do is whoever's Jason has to go into a different voice channel.
Oh, there you go. That
Just
that makes
so
sense.
because if we're all talking to each other about like where to go, oh, where are you? Oh, did you find he's like, did you find the gas? It's like, did you find the battery? Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like, oh, I'm over here by this house. Then obviously whoever's playing as Jason is gonna be
It's
like,
like,
all right, I'll
oh,
head over there.
I'm gonna go stop that gas can.
What we
Like,
do instead is whoever's playing as Jason goes into a different voice channel, and then when you die, you
you
just like
go to
join
that
them in
voice
that
channel.
voice channel
That makes a ton of
just to make
sense.
it fair.
Yeah, you'll really enjoy Among Us because it's got that board game sensibility. It's totally accessible by like literally everybody. We like it's like I could even get my mom to play this. I feel like it's one of those like easy
I mean,
games.
we're still getting some pretty good mileage out of Fall Guys, especially
Yeah,
since they've been like updating the different
I
games.
also played Fall Guys for the first time last week. I after watching many hours of it, my friend play it, Nev at night. The Fall Guys is really fun.
Yeah,
Really fun, but then it almost made me angry to play. And you want to know why? Because
because of
fuck
Mario Party.
yes, because fucking Mario Party. And I know that sounds so stupid, but like Mario Party should have done this. This is like a huge slap in the face to to all of Nintendo is what Fall Guys is because it is literally what Mario Party could have been. You know, like a battle royale Mario Party is what Fall Guys is. And if they don't make some weird knockoff for the next Mario Party, it's I like I don't know where Mario Party's gonna go, like because obviously it's boring with the last one. They didn't put enough content in, and it turns out being boring, so they have to do something else. And Fall Guys is definitely it. I don't. It's like it might not be exactly Nintendo-ish, but it feels like it. You played a bunch of different games, like it just makes so much sense. It made me angry. I don't know why. I just was like, I was just
Because
like,
you're
if
just seeing like the potential that games like this were obviously inspired by, and like the giants who inspired them like aren't actually bringing anything to the table.
exactly. It's like you literally could have switched those Fall Guys and instead of like not being able to jump, you just add jumping and make them all Mario characters. Fucking money. Print that fucking money. Like it's another one of those moments that I love Nintendo, but this is another one of those moments where you're literally leaving money on the table by not like doing something innovative. Slash not even that innovative. Fall Guy's been out for a year, like this isn't like a new game that it suddenly blew up because it was free on PlayStation Plus.
That
But
definitely
before
helped.
that, oh yeah, I mean a game being free definitely fucking helps any game. But it's like it was out for a year before that, like
Yeah,
this.
it was always sort of around, but I didn't see like the culture, the community, and like just the sheer amount of fucking memes until it went free on PlayStation.
Exactly. It really took off on PlayStation, and I'm sure it will when they eventually port it over to Switch or Xbox will do the same thing, where it will take over the entirety of it, like that everyone will be playing it all the time. But it just made me angry because you're just like this is a Mario game. That's what I was watching it, just being like, this is a Mario game. Why does it not have Mario in it? I know that sounds stupid, but you're just like, meh. But sorry, we totally got off on Fall Guys with the
No,
Among
that's
Us
fine.
stuff
Like,
and
as far as the
everything.
PlayStation announcement, that was pretty much it.
Pretty much it. So I mean that I'm excited for the PS5. Especially with that list. I'm thinking I'm gonna get it. I just won't get it right away. I think
That's the
what
smart way to do it.
I think.
But it's funny because you would actually have the advantage of getting it right away.
Yeah.
Because just with that PlayStation Plus collection alone, even if there's like nothing new to play on it, you would have like Miles Morales. But then once you were done with that, you could just go into that backlog of like, look at all this shit I missed last time. Let's focus on this for a bit. And that's kind of what I did when I got my PS4, because I got mine a few years like after the fact. And I wasn't even just waiting for it to like get more stuff on it. I just couldn't afford it at the time.
Yeah.
And then once I finally did get it, I just like played catch up for a while because there were like AAA games that were a few years old now, so they were super cheap.
Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
focused on that for a while.
Yeah, and as much as I love Nintendo, and I love basically pumping into the Switch, if they're really not thinking of putting out a Pro Switch until 2021 or 2022, I might as well start getting another system. Because I think we're going to get into a time here where they're going to start putting out older games that are easier for normal audiences to jump in on, and of course the games that everyone's been asking to be on Switch for a while will start to come over to it. But if we're not getting a Pro version for another year or two, I might as well start to get the other system too, because I think it'll start to slow down.
Yeah, you'll be fine. You just need to show some level of restraint.
Well, I mean that's the other issue though. So when does PS5 comes out in November, and then you got Monster Hunter in March, and then I'm not doing anything but Monster Hunter, and that's the fucking truth of it. But
eventually you're gonna be done.
Eventually,
and then you can be like, well, and because they refuse to put Persona 5 on Switch.
Yeah, right. They're just like, hey, here's Persona, scramble, and you're like, fuck, like it's just like, no, god damn it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it for this episode, guys. We could keep on rambling about random things as always, but I think that's pretty much it for this Filthy Casual episode. Filthy Casual with whatever.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Sean will hit it with a good title. But thank you guys for tuning in to our first ever video remote episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you if you like this, please comment down below or let us know, message us, go on our Discord, let us know that you want more video. I mean, even if we were in person, we could record us being in person. That's really not a problem. So whatever you guys think, let us know, and we would love to hear from you. Please remember to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, everywhere else. I'm Yupfrank on Twitter.
And I'm Modcaraika.
And you can find all of our stuff on galaxygeek.com, where you can see other ones of our reviews and stuff that we write and do. So guys, please check out more Warp Shelf stuff, and please let us know if you want more of these seeing our mugs on screen.
Interact and join the Discord and go on Twitter and fight with us.
And before we close out, because it's a virtual episode, Deshaun, show the Funkos behind you, bro. Show off those damn Funkos.
Oh, this is it?
Yo, is that it?
I didn't think it was that conspicuous.
I mean, that's a lot of fucking Dragon Ball Z there, right? Is that all Dragon Ball Z behind you? Or
the Dragon Ball pops are actually in front of me.
There you go. So you can't even get it. And I got my new setup behind me. I don't have my Funko set up yet. I only got this little box set up at the moment.
But I do have my like actual figures of like Goku, Vegeta there next to the GameCube because I haven't found a place for it yet. I got like a Watchmen gift set.
Nice. Yeah, that's a nice.
I had this nice little poker art that I got for last time I was at BCC.
Yeah.
It's like a bunch of slasher villains playing poker.
Oh yeah, that's
And
right.
then under that is like the photo I took with Karen Gillan. My most prized
My
possession.
most prized possession. That's super funny. I have all my amiibos up there, and then I have DC books, Image books, and then Marvel books at the very bottom where they fucking belong. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Marvel's good. But I don't have that much. Cause obviously Batman's the best.
Yeah.
Um,
Always been for DC kids.
yeah. I mean, it's funny. The DC won't even fit on the one shelf. You have to go down, and then it's half DC again, and then it finally hits some Marvel. You know, like
Yeah,
it's
my shelf is, like to the right of me. If like my display on my side was bigger, you'd be able to see it. I only have so few Marvel books as well. The most notable thing you would see would be like the Berserk books because they're so big.
they're so
And
huge.
I have 5 of them, so they're just like Berserk.
Berserk. But guys, thank you for tuning in. Please let us know if you want more and what I should put in behind us for the next episodes. What we should pimp out. And if you want to see anything specifically, if you're like, hey, Deshaun, you have that crazy Funko back there, please show it on screen next time. We'll do it. We'll show it off. He's got a lot. I only got one amiibo that's actually worth it, and his name is the Golden Shovel Knight.
I tell you what I could show though,
Yeah.
because within reach is the Batmobile.
Oh shit. Oh man, we didn't even talk about Batman Day. They were showing off a bunch of shit on Batman Day.
A little aside to Batman Day, even though we said we were going to wrap up.
Yeah.
I celebrated Batman Day with the little movie marathon with my buddy Rob because he hasn't had much exposure to Batman. And 2 years ago, we watched the 2 Burton films and we watched the Nolan trilogy.
Oh, great. That's
and we
awesome.
couldn't do it last year, but this year we went like full on, like here's a bunch of animated shit and Batman Forever.
And Batman Forever. Yeah, if you want to, like, another plug for the Discord, we talked about that all together about different Batman movies on the Discord. So join in on there.
There we go.
Oh man, it's beautiful. So I mean, obviously, the big Batman Day thing for me was Lego announced the Batwing.
Yeah.
So I mean, and it's the same quality as that one, right? It's like the same legendary or whatever they call it.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be like a similar size too, so it's going to be huge.
For me, I don't know why. It's like I love that Batmobile, but I need that fucking Batwing. I like need it. It's like in my, you know, that shot of it flying up into the moon.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like, for some reason, that shit, whenever I see it, like transports me back to being a small child, like instantly. It's like, and I'm there. It's like to bring up Harry Potter again. It's like the what do you call it when you put your memories into the
pensieve?
Yeah, the pensieve. I was like, it starts with a fucking P. It's like exactly like that, where I could just pull it out.
Huge.
It's huge, man.
It needs
Look
a little
at that
dusting, as you can see.
But that's beautiful. That is, oh fuck, that works so well. That is dope.
Yeah. The wheels work. The fact that you can actually open the cockpit and turn the steering wheel actually turns the wheels.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
It also has like, I'm not going to pull it out, but it does have compartments for the like machine guns.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, but
because this is Tim Burton. This is Tim Burton, baby. He's gonna fucking kill some people.
Yeah, the Batmobile straight up like shoots a bunch of thugs and then blows up a chemical plant with people inside. But Batman doesn't kill, guys.
Batman doesn't kill, guys. Don't worry. But I know we kind of tried to sign off there. Then we got distracted by Batman, as always. But thank you guys for tuning in. Have a great rest of your week and subscribe.
See you next time.
Adios.